Hi friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at this knife by QSP Knives. This is the QS133. I think this is version D. They've got 4 versions of it. Wooden handle scales on 2 of them, carbon fiber handle scales on 2 of them. S35V or Damasteel. So 4 different ways of getting this knife. Is thumb stud or flipper. This is it's a full-size folder, but just, and my big hands, between large and extra large, between 9 and 10 European men's hand sizes, fit it just right. It just fits into my hands, full grip, and it feels comfortable for people with smaller hands. My wife has medium women's hands, and this is a comfortable knife for her. Before we get into the review, I want to thank my Patreon supporters. You guys really are the best. I don't mention it often enough in the videos. I really do appreciate it when every end of every month, or beginning of the month, I notice that the payment comes through from Patreon. It really does help out, and I appreciate it. If you're thinking about becoming a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/CCE, and you can sign up. The perks basically are, well, there's 2 main perks that you get every single month. There's a random draw. A random draw. One of the Patreon supporters gets randomly drawn, and they get to pick one of the knives that I reviewed in the previous month to be their very own. So that can be a big deal. I usually keep a knife or 2 back that I'm going to keep for myself. This knife is probably going to be one of them for this month, but we'll see. And the other perk is you get first dibs on sales. Almost half of my knives that I had on the last sale last week or week before, they were sold to Patreon supporters because they got 48 hours notice. So at $2 or more US per month. In Europe, they do it in euros. If you're from the UK, they'll do it in British pounds. Different places, PayPal is not PayPal. In different places, Patreon is now doing it in the local currency where you're from, if they can, and that's for tax reasons and stuff. And so the value of your gift might be slightly different than $2 US. Some people do $5 US per month. You guys are extra special. Thank you very, very much. Other perks are easy communication. You can send me a message on Patreon, and I'd like to respond to those. I like talking to my supporters, ask any questions, and I like to be thorough on giving good answers. If any of you guys have experienced that, let the others know in the comments below if it's a good experience or not. I do answer any comments that you guys leave below, not always in a timely fashion, especially if they're comments that get held by YouTube, held for review. Maybe if there's a link in it, they get held for review, or if there's bad language or something in it, they get held for review. This channel, Canadian Cutting Edge, I like to keep as a clean channel. I know that some people, some of their kids watch these videos, and the parents have said, Canadian Cutting Edge, you're free to watch any of those videos whenever you want. You don't need parental supervision. And I'm proud of that. So I like to keep the comment section clean, which 99.9% of the time, you guys just do that automatically. I appreciate that. And the other big benefit of being a Patreon supporter is the good feeling that we both get. You get a good feeling for helping a guy out. I get a good feeling that you've helped me out. For those of you who aren't aware, I went on disability. It's about 6 years ago now, almost 7 years ago now. Can't work full time. I know I look normal in my videos, but what does that mean? There's a lot of people that are normal, but really they've got hidden disabilities. My main one is chronic pain, which I'm fighting all the time. And some of you know exactly what I mean because you've told me you were in the same boat. And some of you guys are in worse situations physically than I am. And all the other kinds of stresses that come with that, the mental health things that come with chronic pain or other diseases. That's why I started this channel. First off, to help myself out. And second off, I want to give good, thorough, detailed reviews of mostly knives, also flashlights, sometimes other products, so that you can make well-informed decisions for your spending money. And because money's tight for a lot of you guys, as it is for me, outside of Canadian Cutting Edge, because I get discounts on most of the knives that I buy. What was the point I was going to make? See, there you go. It's hard for me to keep a train of thought sometimes. But I want to be there for you guys. Mostly I do budget things, but sometimes a little bit more money. This guy is just a little bit over $100 US retail. I bought mine at White Mountain Knives. You can get 10% off with code CCE from White Mountain Knives. I have not found this knife in Canada, but I am working with a store called integrityknives.com. They're in Ontario, Canada. And you can get 10% off there with the same coupon code CCE. So without any further ado, let's get this thing to the tabletop and take a good close look at it. Keep watching. This is a beautiful knife. Highly polished. It's a little bit dirty now. That's because my fingerprints are on it, because I have to record this thing twice. The first time, I guess my mic wasn't all the way plugged in. But highly polished. I'd call it pretty much a mirror finish. The satin flats, you can see the milled, the sanding lines that are horizontal, and you can see that the vertical lines are in here from the factory. Let me just wipe that down one time here. There we go. That looks a little bit better. It's a slight drop point, almost a spear point finish. This radius here and this one here, almost the same. Flat section here, the straight section, cutting edge is very nice. S35 VN steel here, I think I mentioned that in the intro. Just under 1/8 of an inch thick. Nice thumb studs, hourglass shape on there. A little bit of jimping on the thumb riser. A forward choil, it's a little bit small. But then you've got this section here, it's also got jimping, so you can grip in there if you want to. Full thickness all the way up to right about there. And then, it comes down, so it's a durable blade in terms of the steel being strong. Very nice. You've got cutting edge, very sharp from the factory, which I appreciated. The handle, we've got stainless steel liners that are also highly polished. You've got this Vera wood. Look at the grain on that. It's mostly a straight grained wood. It's very hard. It's a very oily wood, which makes it very durable. It looks good. It feels good. It's a little bit sunlight sensitive. So if you leave this thing out in the sun, it's going to turn darker. Even if it's been sealed, and this has been, it'll start to turn a little bit darker. There you go. You can see some of that character in the wood. It's just beautiful. And it feels very smooth, well sanded. The holes here, they've been chamfered so that the edges won't, things won't grab on it and chip it out. Perfect spot for a lanyard hole. Straight back, and then you've got sort of that casket end where the corners are notched off, but they're not exactly even, so it's not really a casket end. The screws here, high quality screws from QSP knives. They don't have a lot of play in there, and they're very nice and hard. The pocket clip, while it has the button screws, there's a lot of room in there. It easily goes inside a pocket. A little bit of a lip there. Actually, let's demonstrate right now what it looks like going in and out of a pocket. So coming in, it wants to climb over, and if you keep the wood next to the inside of your pocket, it's no problem. It just slides over easily right away. The little holes there give you some grip with your thumb to pull it out. Works just fine. This is a light switch method for the flipper switch. You can't really use the push down method because it's sloping away and your fingers are just going to slip off if you're trying to push down a little bit that way. So you really need to do light switch if you're doing that, or use the thumb studs. works fine in the right hand, which is how it's designed. The left hand, not quite as much clearance. There's a little bit of wood that's removed right in here. You can sort of see it in that shadow as I move it back and forth. So you can get your thumb over there and the blade just wants to fly out. The detent on this knife is pretty much spot on, perfect. Very, very good. The liners, they're a tiny bit thinner than a lot of knives have, but not a problem at all. There's no skeletonizing anything in there. Lockup is almost perfect, just a tiny, tiny bit later than perfect. Still close to the 50% mark. You still have at least 50% of wear across that tang of the blade. No problem at all. A little bit of jimping there on the liner lock. So it's easy to get your thumb in there to pull it to release. The liners are rounded on the outside. They're exposed just a little bit. And the wood is just inset a tiny bit. Very nice. Hourglass shaped body pins there, body screws. Very nice. Nice and smooth. Like I said, the screws are inset. And it's just nice. It's got your QSP triangle logo inside a circle. D-shaped pivot pin so it's not free spinning. Makes it very easy to take it apart. Let's show you the insides right now. Here it is taken apart and highly reflective. Very well polished. The screws are made to very high tolerances. Oh, wrong driver, here it is. Very little movement at all. It's just a very snug fit. Very low chance of stripping out any of the screws. Ceramic ball bearings, ceramic detent, and do you call this a mirror finish? It's pretty close to a mirror finish. Isn't that great? It's a very nicely built knife. I really like it an awful lot. The riser here makes it comfortable to hold in the sort of saber kind of grip, fist grip, very comfortable. Reverse grip is just great, even a reverse pull grip. You can sneak up, and because it's full thickness all the way up to right about there, it's get lots of security if you want to do delicate cutting, this kind of hold. This forward choil is okay if you just use the tip of your finger, and you can use it right here, but that's the one con I have with this knife. That's not very comfortable. That piece of steel with a little bit of jimping really needs to sit right in this first seam by the first knuckle, or else it's uncomfortable. If I put it right here, it's just hot in the hand. It's just not good right there, and it becomes painful. After a while of cutting this way, my index finger gets very tired and sore in either hand. I just don't like it. So if I grip it this way and cut, it's very comfortable. Long extended cutting. This S35 VN steel just is great. It cut for a very long time, very sharp from the factory. Oh, I forgot to talk about the size comparison, so let's do that right now. Line up those pivot pins with this Ontario Rat 1. As you can see, it's clearly a smaller knife, but the Ontario Rat 1 is a large folder. And now let's do all the weights and sizes and all that other stuff. Wow, this is on the screen. That's what we're talking about. Now 12C27, not a chance. S35 VN stainless steels. It's not crazy hard to sharpen. I generally use Vanev diamond stones anyways. They come from Russia, and I've got no problem sharpening S35 VN with that. It's a very good performing steel. The sharpness from the factory, 110 BES. Very sharp. 200 and less is considered sharp. I do keep a spreadsheet that lists all the knives that I've tested in the last while. It's got 160 knives, I think, on the list. And so you can compare the sharpness to other ones and the grind angles and everything. And I'll talk about that in a minute. First, the weight, 101 grams, 3.55 ounces. The cutting edge length is 7.4 centimeters, 3.913 inches. Blade length, tip to the first spot on the handle, on the liners actually, because they stick out a bit. 8.21 centimeters, 3.232 inches. The blade thickness at the flats up here and the ricasso, 2.9 millimeters, which is 0.114 inches, just under an eighth of an inch, which is 0.125. The blade depth, about an inch up from the sharpener's choil, 2.42 centimeters, 0.953 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind at that same 1 inch spot, 0.55 millimeters, which is 21.5 thousandths of an inch. The grind angle on this guy, one side was 17.1 degrees, the other side was 18.9 degrees, and fairly consistent throughout the length, about half a degree variable along the length of the sharpening. Now for the handle length, 10.48 centimeters, 4.126 of an inch, so that's 4 1/8. Grip area, it's around 9 inches, about 9 centimeters, about 3.5 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, 1.35 centimeters, 0.531 of an inch, not bad. The handle depth, it's biggest right at the end of the handle, 2.4 centimeters, 0.945 of an inch. The knife depth when it's closed, not counting the flipper tab, right there at 3.06 centimeters, 1.204 of an inch. And when the blade's deployed, the total length of this knife, 18.81 centimeters, 7.406 inches. So that's a decent sized knife, almost 7.5 inches, around 3.5 in the blade. Very good. The balance point is right there. Not bad. You see, if they would have skeletonized it, the balance point would start to get up by the blade. Where it is now is just perfect. Fit and finish on this, I think it's just awesome. They did a very good fit and finish on it. Often this kind of wood is really hard to machine, and so I wonder how many handle scales are in a scrap bin because little spots. There's nothing chipped out anywhere. Everything's nicely finished, nice and smooth. They've done a great job with that. The blade, it's not quite mirror finish, but it is nicely polished. The liners are polished nicely, very comfortable, just looks great. Not too much writing on the knife, the logo there and S35V on there. It's just a very, very good knife. It's not long and skinny like a lot of gentleman's folders, but it is sort of like a gentleman's folder. It's exotic wood, premium steel at a price that's very reasonable. You don't find these materials usually at right close to the $100 mark. This one here at White Mountain Knives right now is $105.65. They've got some of these in stock as I speak, as I'm doing the recording anyways, they do. The other models they don't have in stock right now, but they'll be getting more QSP knives in a while. They've been ordered by Justin over at White Mountain Knives. You can get 10% off there on almost anything. Nice knife. I really, really like this knife. I think I'm going to be making this in my permanent collection. There is one con though. I'm not fond of that, the steel sticking out there. It gets hot in the hand so much that I don't like it. I would probably grind that down. Now, I'd have to be very careful that I don't get the rest of the blade hot. You don't want to lose the temper, the heat treat on the cutting edge. I might just do that. I don't mind if I can't use a flipper. If this part gets totally removed, wouldn't mind that at all, because thumb studs are just fine. I love thumb stud knives. And I'll leave links down below. If you use my links, that does help out my channel. I very much appreciate it. But I do also give links sometimes to places just because I found the knife there and just so that it makes it easy for you to get them. To summarize, it's got a great look. Great design for functionality. It's a good design for, carry and for grip. It looks nice. Materials are awesome. Super deep pocket clip, but not on the left side. It's a nice knife. Very good performing. The only thing, I'm not the fond of the grip right here. You might like it. I don't know. But I still like this knife so much that I think I'm probably going to keep it. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.